Alright, this is session number 6 in Adobe Illustrator, and it's about strokes, fills, and effects. And I'm going to jump straight to Adobe Illustrator and show you how this is going to work. You'll start off with an artboard that looks like this. You're going to do a couple of different kinds of strokes, some fills, some effects. When you get done, it could look something like this. Doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but it doesn't have to look like all that much, to tell you the truth. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'll even close this, and we'll start from scratch. Alright, I'm in Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to click File, click Open, and I'll make my way to the Courses drive. That's Drive L, and I'll use period 1 as an example, but you can use your own class period. Go inside the Assignments folder, inside Adobe Illustrator, and this is session number 6. Stroke, fill, effect. The file you need is this one right here. So I'm going to open that up, and I'll zoom back just a little bit so you can see everything. Now I have these text items on the left and on the right of the artboard, so just to keep you on track about what I would like for you to do with this. Let's get right to work. First of all, we're going to look at strokes. Alright, I'll use the arc tool to do this first one. I'm just going to draw a stroke kind of like that. Now normally, it's just what's called a basic stroke. But you have some options here, and that's what I want you to know about. Up here on the control panel, if I click and it drops down this menu, I see several different styles of strokes. Here's kind of a chalk scribble, and if I click that, and we'll go back and we'll see that that stroke has now been changed from a basic stroke to a chalk scribble. Now it's black. I could go and change the stroke color, and that could be any color I want it to be. So now I've got a red chalk scribble. Now there might be a limited number of these brushes or these strokes on this little control panel. So if you wish, there's a small button right here, an options button, and if you click that and go to Open Brush Library, you can open up other brush libraries to explore what's there. Now that's really kind of up to you. For example, if I go to Decorative, and let's say I go to Banners and Seals, so I'll click right there, and it gives me this Banners and Seals set, which any of these panels can be opened up bigger and things like that, and I could click on one if I want to see what it would look like. And this one has kind of a megaphone with a seal coming out of it, and so you can kind of explore and pick out whatever you want. I'm not going to be picky on this assignment. I just want you to try a few of these and see what you come up with. Alright, so let's say that that's our brush number 1, and there we go. Now on the other one, I want to show you that it can be done this way as well. I'm going to draw a rectangle, and this rectangle could be any color. Right now it's black, but I can use the fill box down here to fill it with whatever color I like. Alright, and I'll go ahead and add a stroke to it here a little bit. Now right now it's just got a basic red stroke. But if I go over here again to the same box where it says basic definition, and I scroll through here, and again I could go pick a different brush library. I could do that if I wanted to, or I could just pick something that's on this menu already. I know that there's this barbed wire down here, so I'll pick that barbed wire, and if I bump the size of that stroke up a little bit, the barbed wire gets a little bit bigger. So that's going to be my second brush stroke that I'm going to use for this assignment. So there we go, brush strokes. Now you can explore those and see what all's in there, and that's that. Alright, now next up is fills. Alright, I'll start this off by just drawing a circle, and you'll see that underneath the fills category over here, I've got gradient 1, gradient 2, pattern 1, pattern 2, and then pattern define. This one's not required, but you can try it out if you want to. Well, let's talk about gradients here first. I'll make sure that this circle is selected, and I'll go over here to the swatches panel. Now it's over on the right hand side, and it looks like a little series of boxes there. And what I'm going to do next is I'll go to the swatch options button right here, and then I'm going to open a swatch library. Now I want you to see where the gradients are, and that's really a lot of what today is about, is knowing how to find them. So I go to open a swatch library, and here's gradients right here. Now once I click on gradients, there are several different collections, so I could pick anything I want here. If I want a water kind of feeling to it, I could click that, and you see what I get is this set of gradients that have a lot of blues in them because it's supposed to be water kind of looks here, and I could drop one of those on there, and it's filled with a gradient starting with light blue and going to dark blue. Alright, now let's draw another shape in here. It could be any shape. It could be a rectangle, a rounded rectangle. It doesn't really matter. We just need a shape in there. And you'll notice that this one came up with the same gradient that I had on the previous shape. Illustrator does that a lot. I would like for you to have two different ones, so I could either grab a different gradient from here and drop it on there from the water set, or if I would prefer, I can go back over here to the swatches panel and to the swatch options and open a swatch library and go to gradients, and then I could pick something else, perhaps like pastels, and I'll drop a pastel gradient on there. All right. Now, if by chance, and let me show you something that could happen to you if you're not careful here. You might be working on something, and let me set this up so that, okay, all right. You might be working along here, and you know, you've got this shape that you've drawn, and you've got it selected, and you've got a gradient panel open here, and you go to drag this on here, and poof, and it looks like, well, wait a minute, that didn't fill up with a gradient. Why not? What's the problem? Well, if I look over here on the left-hand side, you'll see that my stroke box was in front here. So what happened is it applied that gradient to the outline, to the stroke of the shape. Oh, well, I could undo that with Control Z. And if I want to make sure that it's applying the gradient to the fill of the box, I need to click on the fill box and have it be in front, have it be the active foremost box here. And then if I take this gradient and just drop it on there, it will fill that box. All right, so you want to make sure you're working with the fill and not the stroke when you do these gradients. All right, now, so that's gradient 1 and gradient 2. And again, you can pull over these little labels and label them if you want to. All right, now pattern 1 and pattern 2. Again, we just need a shape here. I'll just draw one of these. It's black right now. And this is going to be a similar kind of thing to what we just saw. I'm going to go to the swatches panel. I'll go to the swatch options. I'll go to open swatch library, and then I'll go to patterns. Now, underneath patterns, there are 3 divisions: basic, graphics, decorative, and nature. And you can explore any of these. It doesn't matter. And underneath those, for example, under nature, there are 2 divisions there: animal skins and foliage. Well, let's check out the animal skins. All right, so the panel comes up, and for example, here's zebra, or here's tiger, or here is giraffe. So again, you can do whatever you want there, and you can add, if you wish to add a stroke to it, you can, but that's totally up to you. It doesn't really matter. All right, one more of these. So I would like to get one more pattern, so I'm going to draw another shape. All right, and again, this happens a lot in Illustrator, and a new shape that you draw very often will come up looking just like the last one, but you can always change it. I'll go back to the swatches panel, swatch options, open swatch library. I'll get into patterns, and maybe this time go to decorative. And we'll check out the decorative legacy, and you can explore these any of them that you want. Now, I did it to myself again there. I dropped this pattern on and it affected the stroke. So I'm going to undo that with Control Z and make sure I have the fill box up front, and then I can pull one of these patterns in and drop it, and there we go. All right, so I've got patterns done. And I'll just label those real quick: pattern 1, pattern 2. Now, this idea of defining a pattern works like this. Real quickly, I'm just going to draw a kind of a little smiley face. I'm going to make a circle and fill it with yellow, like that. And then I'm going to draw another circle, and it's going to be a pretty small one, and I'm going to fill it with black. And I'm going to take that little small black circle and alt drag that, and I'll just put one of them right about there, and one of this is, I'm just hurrying here. I'm not going to do a great job of this, but all right, so that's what I've got so far. And then maybe I'll just take like the paintbrush here and just make a little stroke of paint, like a little smile. Make that a little bit wider. Oh, it's using the barbed wire brush. Put that back on basic. Okay, there we go. So what I've got here is this little smiley face that I made, and I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to go up to the object menu, and I'll go to pattern and go to make. Object, pattern, make. It says new pattern has been added to the swatches panel. Okay. Now, when I do that, and it shows me that I can edit this here a little bit if I want to. I've got some pattern options where I can work with the offset and things like that, but I'm just going to go ahead and click out of that, just double click, and I can get rid of this pattern. Now here's the deal. Here's the deal, Sparky. I'm going to draw a shape here. And as long as I have the fill box up forward, over on the swatches panel, here's that little smiley face that I just created as my own pattern. I can drop that in there, and there we go. Just click on it, and it fills it up with those smiley faces. Hey, how about that? So that's kind of cool. You can define your own patterns if you want to. Now remember, as far as this assignment goes today, you don't have to do that one if you don't want to. You can try it out if you feel like, oh yeah, okay, I see what you're doing, I get that. You can try it out if you want to, but it is not a required item. I'm going to size that way down and kind of get that out of the way and put it over here. Okay. Now to